Hey everyone, thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to guide a meditation in one of my favorite practices called compassionate presence to feelings. This is a practice that I use every day, throughout the day, pretty much, as much as I can, both formally in a meditation session when I've put aside the time for that, and informally just throughout the day to drop into my body and connect to my feeling world. This practice derives from a practice from my main teacher, Sokni Rinpoche. I'll put a link in the description below if you're watching on YouTube. Um, he calls this practice handshake practice. Today, I'm just using the name compassionate presence to feelings because I feel it also describes well what the practice is. As we're practicing being not only mindful of feelings, sensations, and energies as they're arising in the body, but we're practicing a form of love or compassion towards them. Now, I'll just say a bit about this practice. The form of compassion and love we're practicing is quite unique because normally we are thinking about love or we're thinking about compassion or we're just in the moment with a person or a situation where we're feeling those emotions more spontaneously. In this practice, we're not thinking about love. We're not thinking about compassion. I guess you could say there's some spontaneity here in the sense that we're just meeting whatever's arising. But it's another kind of compassion and love we're embodying here in the form of non-judgment, in the form of practicing being with a sensation, a feeling, an emotion that may be uncomfortable or may be even painful to us. Now, you don't have to have a painful or uncomfortable emotion to practice this. This is one of the key somatic awareness practices I use just to learn about my feeling world, to train in being with my feeling world rather than stuck thinking about it, analyzing it, or in other words, suppressing or judging it. So I just wanted to say a bit to introduce it. For those of you unfamiliar with this kind of practice, this isn't necessarily intuitive. It's very simple, but it's not necessarily intuitive in the sense that a lot of us are disconnected from these levels of our experience. Normally, we're caught in an emotion rather than being able to just be with that with awareness. So, as any meditation practice that I share, awareness is the center of this practice, that quality of mind that can bear witness, that aspect of watchfulness that is innate to our mind as a human being. And we apply that same watchfulness to just being with any kind of sensation, any kind of emotion, any kind of energy arising in the body. And I really mean any in that you don't have to label it. You don't have to know what it is. We don't have to have it all figured out. We're just offering a chance to drop into the body and be with the experience. There's a lot of benefits that come out of this. I'll let you check out the link from my teacher in his course, Fully Being. He describes a lot more of this quality of essence love that we can reconnect to, that we often had as a small child and then we've lost over time. And also he talks about this sense of okayness we can connect to. And okayness means that there's just a sense of okayness and enough, I call it enoughness in ourselves, where we don't always need a conditioned object from the outside to describe or point to our worth or in any way provide entertainment or happiness for us. We can just be with our own bodies, our own minds, our own feeling world in this way. But like I said, this is quite challenging. This is an ongoing practice for me for about specifically this practice for about 11 or 12 years. And that's combined with about 23 years of meditation in total. So I just want to put that out there because if you're trying this for the first time and you feel like you're not getting it or it's challenging or, you have to stop the practice because it's overwhelming, that's totally fine. That's normal, right? I think the first month, 2 or even 3 months of me trying this practice was very confusing, right? Because we're not used to relating with our feeling world in this kind of way. Maybe some of you are, but I definitely wasn't. And a lot of the students I encounter who end up working with me also, they find this practice, it's cumulative or it builds over time, right? So Without any further ado, let's jump in. So go ahead and find a seat that works for you. If you want to sit in a chair, just having the feet flat on the ground, maybe putting something beneath you so it can help to prop your hips forward. If you want to sit on the floor too, cross-legged, that's fine. Whatever you normally do and feels good. And feel free to go ahead and close your eyes for this one. And so we're going to practice the initial step in this, which is called dropping. And here you can do a physical movement. I'll probably do it with you of just releasing. And in this release, the hands or arms drop. We can release a sigh or breathe out from our mouth. And simultaneously, we drop the thinking mind, or in other words, we drop the awareness into the body, anywhere you want. Doesn't have to be anywhere specifically. So let's try that together. Just dropping into the feeling world. Maybe first you're connecting with sensations in the body. Feeling of the seat below you or the feeling of your feet touching the ground. And maybe there's some emotional content or some subtler energies arising. And we simply just meet those. That's the second step. We drop, meet. And this naturally can lead into the third step, which is letting be with whatever's arising. And letting be means just that. Let be with it. We don't have to analyze, think, try to control or label what's arising in the feeling world. We don't have to push it away. We also don't have to become it. We can bear witness to it with awareness while feeling it. So there's this element of dropping control over our emotions, our feeling world, or any sensations arising, and simply just being with them. That is the love. That is the kindness. That is, in a sense, the compassion. As we're being with something that's possibly painful or uncomfortable. And if you're not feeling anything particularly uncomfortable, you're just feeling sensations that are more neutral or even pleasant, that's fine too. Just be with those. We can practice being with our felt experience. So now that we have the basic instruction, let's drop again. So lifting up the arms, drop into the body. Really let go. Feel and be aware of feeling. But don't force feeling. Just feel what's there. It's okay, whatever's there. There doesn't have to be anything special or strong or particularly pleasant or particularly unpleasant. Just be with what's arising. Another way to put this is be open. Allow the feeling world to express itself and be open to it. When I drop, I tend to drop into the core of my body from the neck down to my pelvic area or down to my lower abdomen. It's where the majority of strong energies, emotions tend to arise for me. And I just remain open, like a good friend. There in the moments that are challenging, there in the moments that are wonderful. There in the celebrations, there in the heartbreaks and heartaches. And we're being that good friend for our feeling world. This is the love. This is the compassion. Just allowing and being. Of course, as many times as you need to drop, if you find that you're struggling, resisting, if you find that you're controlling, overthinking it, analyzing it, any kind of mode that is manipulating the feeling world. If you find that, just drop again. Relax into the body, but preserve this sense of watchfulness or awareness. And just as the title describes, it's a compassionate presence. So we're just being present to and with emotions, energies. If you want to start with sensations, that's fine too. And there's nothing necessarily to coach or elaborate on. Just practicing being with our feeling world in the present moment, practicing releasing, surrendering to that. So if you're wondering if you're doing it right, there's not too much right and wrong here because anything is allowed to arise. So as long as we are practicing being with or present to in the feeling, any emotions, sensations, or energies arising in our body, as long as that's happening, that's the practice. And we just wait, we allow. We let go of expectations of short term results. And in the short and midterm, for a lot of us, this can often just be challenging because we're not used to being with our feeling world in this way. Sometimes when strong, uncomfortable emotions arise, we're not used to being with them in this way. We want to try to get rid of them. We want to try to solve them. And here we're deliberately not trying to solve or get rid of them. If the breath helps also to breathe into something that's uncomfortable, you can use that. But try not to use the breath as a way to distract or avoid what's arising. And as I said in the beginning, if you feel overwhelmed by this, if it's just too much, no worries, stop the practice. There's plenty of other kinds of meditations you can do. This might not be the starting point for everyone. But before we close the practice today, we're going to drop one more time, spend a few more moments being with our feeling world. So feel free to raise your arms if you'd like, and we'll drop into the body one last time. Really let go, really let be. See if you can drop all preoccupation with needing to figure it out, needing to know where it comes from or what it is, needing to label it, and just allow compassion and love to be present with it. Love in the form of care, compassion in the form of being with something that may or may not be painful for you right now. So being with in and of itself is an act of compassion in this form. Just taking a few deep inhalations and exhalations through the nose, out the mouth if you wish. Beginning to shift from our practice period to integration back into our morning, afternoon, or evening. And as you open the eyes, see if you can stay with the body a little bit. So the eyes sometimes take us out of the body. See if you can stay with your experience. So thanks so much for practicing with me today. I'd love to know how this went for you. If you want to comment below, if you're on YouTube, if you're listening on Spotify or iTunes or some other kind of media source, feel free to reach out to me at scottdusa.com. I always welcome your feedback. And as I said, I'll put a link in the YouTube description for Sokni Rinpoche and his course called Fully Being. There's also a link there to download my best guided meditations for free, which includes a shorter form of this practice and also a longer form. So if you like this practice, if it's helpful to you, if you're noticing it as something you'd like to work with more, go ahead and check out those resources. And as always, I welcome your feedback. Thanks so much. Take care.